What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today I'm not going to be speaking that fast because that fast is way too fast and you would all complain. So let me slow it down for you all, shall I? Today we are continuing on in the series of the re-reviews of every pen in my fountain pen collection, starting with my Pilots, because arguably Pilot is one of the best fountain pen brands out there. You can fight me on it in the comment section down below, but I hold firm in my belief. And today we're going to go with one of the classics of the Pilot pen, and that of course is the Pilot Metropolitan. Arguably, it is most compared to the Lamy Safari. I have made those comparisons myself, and that is because typically it is a starter fountain pen for most, and that's also up to you. It was my very first ever fountain pen, so I do have a bit of a soft spot for it, but I still love it even if it wasn't. So I'm going to flip the camera around so I can show you in detail more about this pen, how it writes, and all of that goodness. But just like 45 seconds before I do, if you could hit the like and subscribe, please, I would very much appreciate it. Because the algorithm, guys, I mean, if you watched yesterday's video, I know I keep talking about it, but I'm just getting smushed. And then, check out the link in the description if you want to help support me on Patreon, because thanks. All right, enough self-promo. Let's flip the camera around and talk about this pen. Alrighty then, we have ourselves the Pilot Metropolitan. This is a not totally bland, nondescript looking fountain pen. There are definitely ones that are more, like a lot of Pilot's other pens. But it is, as far as the retro pop design, it is one of the more demure styles. It's pretty much all gray with just a little bit of fancy pants, like what looks to me like either a helmet or a bat is sort of what I see. But you can do whatever you want. It's pretty tubular. It's basically a torpedo. That's it. The clip itself, relatively decent, pretty stiff, but will work in a jiff. And I do like, though, that it is pretty flush, and the aluminum it is made out of feels really, really good. Everything is soft, everything's smooth, no hard, jagged things or anything like that. And does have a decent weight to it because it is all metal, and is one of the few push, that little satisfying snap, push to open instead of twisting. It's really difficult to see, but you do get a little bit of a notch in there that grabs onto this section here to help keep it closed. Fits really well in my hand. Like I said, it's light, but it does have some weight to it because it is aluminum. But if you desire more, you can just push to post. That will give you some room to play if you have larger hands. But I do not. The grip section is fairly large for Pilot pens. It does have a little flare out here to stop your fingers from slippy sliding onto that nib and feed. And it does come with a converter for you, but not this one. So I have the older style Con 50 in here. It comes with the squeeze bladder, which used to be the Con 20, but I think they changed the name. But you can't see the ink in that, and the squeeze bladder just doesn't hold very much. So I don't like it. I swapped it out with a different converter that I had. And being an all metal pen, I do not recommend you eyedropper convert, but it's your pen. You do whatever you want. And then as far as the nib size goes, I would say it's on par with probably pretty close to a number 5 size nib. But it fits the pen. This just says Pilot M for medium, Japan. It has some little designs here, but nothing too fancy. And then has the plastic feed here. This is not the typical one that you'll see on their custom line. This is pretty much one that is meant for their, I don't want to say cheap pens, because they're not cheap, but more inexpensive pens, I would say. And as far as the ink goes for today, I went with Robert Oster Fire and Ice. This is one of the inks I've had in my collection the longest. Bought it from Goulet Pens on their bottom shelf. That's the word I was looking for, because obviously there's some ink that got on the label, but I don't care about that. I really don't. It saved me some money off of this ink. And I just finished watching House of Dragons, and I wanted to, still live in that universe. Hot take on that last episode, no spoilers. I really wish the second to last episode, so episode 7, I actually wish that was the finale. And the last episode 8, I think, I wish that was actually the season opener for season 3. But anywho's, that's just me. Let's start writing. So we've got the quick brown. Nope, I need an N. Fox jumps over the lazy dog. Beautiful. So again, this is a medium steel nib. I think my neighbor's smoking the wacky tobacco and having that smell come through my vents is starting to affect the way I can smell. Spell is what I meant to say. It is definitely affecting me. For those of you who live in condos or apartments, I'm sure you know by getting smells of your neighbors, because my neighbors feel the need to smoke the wacky tobacco every 2 hours. They need help. Anywho, this is a very reliable pen. I've had many Metros over the time, and they're always solid. I prefer the medium nib over the fine nib. You can squeak out a little bit of more ink, but you won't get any line variation. It's a pretty stiff nib. Reverse writing feels absolutely terrible. Extraordinarily scratchy, but works. And it feels even worse because the regular side is so smooth like a fine wine. I very much dislike wine. I think it's disgusting. But anyway, it's very, very smooth. No hard starts, no skips, no nothing. Like it is honestly one of the most dependable writers for me. It is decently wet. Like I'll even leave that for a second here. Come in with a Kleenex and bajam. That does have a little bit of impact, of course, with the ink. This is not a super dry ink. It is on the more wet side, but it's not like a gusher. It is very well controlled. But the reason I like it too is that it does provide the opportunity in a finer nib to show some characteristics of that ink. So you can see the red sheen, hence the fire portion of the ice that comes out in that writing. And this is a finer medium than most of you are probably used to if you compare it to typical Western nibs. This is a Japanese fine, like a Western fine, a Japanese medium. Once you get between like extra fine, fine, medium, once you start getting above that, it doesn't matter. They're basically on par. But I do think Japanese fines and mediums tend to be a little on the finer side, which for me is a perfect, pun intended, happy medium. So do I recommend the Pilot Metropolitan after many, many, many years of having one, selling them, rebuying? Yes, I do. I've had this specific one in my collection for a few years now, and I don't plan on selling it because I always regret it when I do. It is just a solid, reliable pen. It is a little bit thin on the grip section, and that does bother some people, but it does not bother me too much. Typically, this is never like a long-standing, like I'm going to use this pen for hours and hours, but it's the pen that I take with me on the go a lot because it's super durable. It's, again, always reliable, and I don't have to worry about it breaking, and if it happens to get broken or stolen or lost or whatever, while it would suck, it's not going to, break the bank or make me cry. So this is really an important pen, I think, to keep in your collection. And then you guys are gonna have to let me know in the comments down below. What do you see when you look at that? Like, I literally do, it's a bat, basically. That's what I see. Like, sure, it could be a helmet with some spikes at the top, but I primarily see a bat. And maybe that's because I used to live with a whole bunch of them for a few years, and, you know, that sucked, but it's just scarred my brain. Anyway, other than bats and this awesome, awesome pen, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on the Pilot Metropolitan. Hit the like and subscribe because new videos come out every Monday and Friday and the occasional Tuesday. Check out the link in the description if you want to help support me on Patreon. I would be very, very, very pleased if you did. But either way, if you do, if you don't, just watching it to the end of this video helps a ton. So I will see you tomorrow.